This is one of my favorite workshops that we put on every year. And if you don't know, we put on a free workshop like this every single month for all of our roofing companies to participate in for free. We typically talk about a certain topic every single month. Typically around this time of the year, this is kind of our planning, part of the year. And so we'd like to take a step back from everything that we did last year, figure out what worked, what didn't work, and build a plan, right, for this next year. Well, last month we built our budgeting side of this, right, and we built a budget for 2026. This is going to be more of our tactical, right? What to do for your marketing, right? So last month we were building the plan for, all of our goals for next year, as well as how much we're going to spend and so forth, right? Today we're going to go over a lot of things. We're going to basically go over my 4R roofing marketing system, okay, and how you can apply that into your digital marketing strategy. So let's just jump right into this, right? We have this big problem, right? So we have most people in the roofing industry focuses on these tactics and not the actual strategy. So what we're going to go over is really what's in my book for the Ultimate Guide to Digital Marketing for Roofers. We're going to talk about the strategy behind actually building a winning marketing system. Okay. All right. And by the way, I love to use memes. If you don't know that about me, love to have memes in here. A little bit of comedy never hurt anybody, right? So the other issue that I have seen in doing thousands of marketing assessments for roofing companies is that most markets, there's probably one or two companies that are kind of the choice, right? Versus a choice. And where we want to position ourselves, and especially as we heading into 2026 here, is to position ourselves as the choice, right? So when homeowners need help, you're everywhere, right? That they are and where they're looking. So we want to be the choice. All right. Now, what we're going to go over today is we're going to go over how to build the actual ultimate marketing machine. Why machine? I talk about machines a lot. Almost all of our things are named machines. So we've got our ranking machine. We've got our reputation machine. We've got all sorts of things that we call machines. And that's simply because when I was in the Air Force, right, way back in the day, I worked on this jet that you're looking at here. And if you've seen my thumbnail up here, I worked on this jet back behind me. It's the F-117. Right. And I learned about machines. Prior to that, I didn't really know a whole heck of a lot other than my truck. Right. I knew machines were out there and that they worked. But when I started working on this jet, I really started digging into how machines work and how they really go into the overall system. Right. Which is the Air Force. And I also know that machines typically work until they break, right? And once they break, you have to fix them and then get them going again. But for the most part, machines work. You just have to give them the right fuel. You have to make sure that they have, things like oil and stuff like that. Your marketing is exactly the same thing, right? Your marketing as an overall system should have these little machines in there, right? Working on your behalf 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay. All right, so let's agree that this machine should be in place, right? And when I've gone through and I've assessed literally thousands of roofing companies' marketing systems, all they focused on, again, on those problems of the tactics, right? SEO, Google Business Profile ranking, pay-per-click, and LSAs. And while that is what you should focus on a little bit, if that's all you're focused on, you're going to miss a whole bunch of other things. Okay. All right. Before we get into too deep, my name is Chris Hunter. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of not roofingsites.com. I need to change this slide of Roofer Marketing Heroes. We just changed our name at the end of last year to make it a little bit more clear. Our main brand is Marketing Heroes. And so we're like, instead of roofingsites.com, maybe we should call ourselves Roofer Marketing Heroes. So we did. So we've gone through this rebrand. I am the author of the Ultimate Guide to Digital Marketing for Roofers. If you don't have this in your hand yet, if you don't have a copy of this, I will give you a free digital copy of this at the end of this workshop. We are members of the NRCA, the National Roofing Contractors Association, RCAT, the Roofing Contractors Association of Texas, and HARCA, the Houston Area Roofing Contractors Association. I live in College Station, Texas. So Houston is closest to us, so that's why we are part of that association. I personally have been doing search engine optimization, getting ranked on search engines since 1998. If you do the history check on that, that's before Google even existed. And that's true, and I know that really dates me because my first search engine that I really focused on was Yahoo, right? Which is no longer even really relevant to any search engine talks. Okay. But, I've been doing it a long time, really, really long time. The first roofer that I worked with, in fact, was in around 2005. And he talked us into doing for him what we had done for ourselves, which at the time we were a web design company. We had taken up all 10 spots on the first page of Google. Okay. Completely dominated that. And he kept calling around, right, getting quotes from other web design companies. And he kept getting me, and he's like, hey, didn't I just talk with you? And I'm like, yep, you sure did. Let's build you a website. So he came back to us later and talked us into doing for him what we had done for ourselves. Okay. And that's where our journey with working with roofers really started, was in 2005. So we've been doing this 20 years with roofers. Random fact about me, I love to brew IPAs on the weekends. Of course, I say that, but I haven't brewed anything. I've been too busy with kids and all that kind of stuff. But I like to brew beers, right? IPAs, India Pale Ales, anything hoppy kind of a thing. All right, we are on a mission to double the size of 100 roofing companies by 2028. I think that we are well on our way on that. We'd like to consider ourselves growth partners. We're not a marketing agency. We're a growth partner right alongside of all of our roofing companies. Okay. All right. Enough about me. Let's talk about my system here. It is made up of 4 pillars. This is the exact system, by the way, that is right here. And so it is made up of 4 pillars. The first pillar is your reputation. Okay. You can't do anything in marketing, in sales, anything like that, if your reputation is non-existent or it's not good. Okay. So things that happen inside of this pillar, and we're going to go in depth on each of these, but you want to make sure that your website is a high conversion website, meaning that you don't want to drive traffic to it if it's not going to convert. The other part of that is it's got to instill trust within 3 seconds of people coming to your website. That's the latest stats, by the way, right? Is 3 seconds or less. So we want to make sure that your website is solid. Okay. Number 2 is your online reviews. You want to make sure that you have a lot of reviews these days, because more and more people are using that $1,000 machine sitting in their pocket. Okay. And going and researching you before they even call you. Right? Part of that are your online reviews. If it is non-existent, meaning that you don't have at least 100 reviews or more, okay, or it stinks, you know, you've got some bad reviews sitting out there. Those bad reviews are costing you people even considering you as a choice, not even just considering you as the choice in your market. Okay. Last, social media. We want to make sure that we're posting to social media on a regular basis. We're going to get into all of these things here in a minute, but I just want to outline really what this base pillar is. This is your foundation, right? And most roofers, about 99% of the roofers out there, do not understand this principle. Okay. If you don't have a solid foundation, just like with a house, nothing that you build on top of that is going to work. It's going to fall over. Okay. The next pillar is reach. Getting in front of more people today than knew about you yesterday. This is what most people, when they come to us, this is what most people are coming to us about. These are those tactics. Okay. Now, if you notice, each of these pillars we've got things underneath them. These are all those machines that should be working for you. I have a friend that also equates this to fishing. Okay. These are all poles in the water. Okay. I don't know about you. I'd like to go fishing with more than one pole, right? If I can have 10 poles, I would put 10 poles in the water. Okay. Because that gives me more of a chance to catch the fish. Okay. So anyways, each of these pillars, all of the tactics underneath each of these pillars can come and go. All right. A prime example of that are the yellow pages. When I first went into business 20 plus years ago, right? Everyone at the Chamber of Commerce, all my friends at the Chamber told me, hey, you've got to get a yellow pages ad. The last yellow pages book that I got was about as thin as a magazine. Okay. And I remember sitting on those things, right, when I was a kid, right, so that I could reach the table. So that's doesn't work anymore. And we want to make sure that what we do is working. Okay. What we focus on is working. All right. So each of these pillars, we can take things out and put things back in. So this makes this entire thing an evergreen framework, if you will. Okay. All right. Next, we've got resell. Resell means just simply selling back to the people who have purchased from you before. You're 8 times more likely to sell to those people, especially if they've had a positive experience. Hardly any of the thousands of roofers, and I would probably say maybe a handful that I've talked with in the past 20 years, actually do anything in this pillar whatsoever, right? They do the job, they move on, right? They don't ever go back to the people who have purchased from them and cross-sell, right? Most roofers, you sell windows, siding, solar, gutters, all sorts of things that you can cross-sell to these people, but very few roofing companies actually go back to those people, okay? Next is referral. We love referrals, right? Typically, you're going to close a referral 80%, 60 to 80% of the time, right? In most sales that I've talked with, most of the time when they first come to me, they've never done online marketing. When I ask them what their sales close rate is, they say 80%. I'm like, yeah, okay, not with normal leads, right? You got to chase those people, right? And that's typically going to be about 25%. But referral leads are gold. We all know this, right? Again, hardly any of the roofing companies that I have talked with actually have a good referral system on their website. Every employee knows it. Every homeowner that they've ever worked with knows what their referral system is, okay, or their referral program. They don't have a systemized way to get referrals in from the homeowners or from referral sources. Okay, I did a whole workshop on this last year. Highly recommend you go to YouTube and go search for it. We uncovered a whole bunch of really cool things that you can implement in your business to get referrals from realtors, from insurance agents, right, and so forth. Not just the homeowners. So this isn't really just everything that we're talking about here. It's a much bigger picture here. Okay, so how do you install this into your business? All right, step 1, you got to fix your foundation. Okay, we talked about that. Almost always, and we had to add this early on, right? As we were building out this marketing system, this framework, we noticed that roofers that were underneath 100 reviews, right? A lot of them had like maybe 5 or 10 reviews on Google, or they had some bad reviews. None of their marketing would ever work, and we couldn't ever figure it out, right? And I mean, we had them ranked. We had them in organic. We had them ranked on the map pack. We had ads running. Nothing was working because they had a couple of bad reviews sitting out there, or they'd had a non-existent reputation, right? There was no trust. So if people don't trust you, it's just not going to work. Okay. So how do you get more reviews? Well, you got to ask for them, right? You actually have to ask for them in person. But beyond that, you got to have a system in order to get those reviews. We have one client that shared with us what they do. And it's ingenious, honestly. They have their salespeople get them reviews every single month, and their salespeople are required to provide at least 3 to 5 reviews. But here's the thing. They're actually compensated. Part of their compensation plan is based off of them getting reviews. If they don't get reviews, they're missing out on some compensation. So this client actually gives $50 for every review, up to 5 reviews per month. So $250 as part of their compensation plan. Okay. That incentivizes them to go out and ask for those reviews. Okay. Most salespeople are, incentivized by money. Why not build that into your system? Okay. The other part of this is that you've got to have a programmatic, systemized way to get those reviews. Well, there's all sorts of software these days that can help you with that. We have that built into all of our programs. So we send out SMS messages, we send out email messages asking for that review. Now, I would suggest, and I've been suggesting this for the past 10 years to all of my roofers, is make sure that you're asking at their peak happiness moment. Okay. Don't ask them 5-6 months down the road. That's never going to work. Ask them at their peak happiness moment. And right then, when is that? That's when you've completed the job. Okay. So I say, put this into, the hands of the people who are closing out the job, the HR people, or not HR, sorry, the accounting people, but simply put them into the software that will do this. Now, of course, you want the salesperson asking in person. It's always better to do it in person, right? Having a human actually do that is much better in almost all cases. But in case they don't, you've got to have a systemized way to get it. Okay. Now, I would also recommend that you have your admin staff, right? Your back end admin staff calling out to get that review. How do you do that? I went through another workshop on this last year. We'll probably do it again this year, but last year I outlined exactly how to do that. Gave scripts, right? In the workbook, you could give your scripts to your back-end admin people to call out, and it's a customer service call. Okay. Hey, how did this go? Hey, while I have you, and based off of their response, while I have you, I noticed you didn't leave a review. Would you mind leaving us a review? I'll send you a link real quick to our Google business profile. It really helps us out as a small business, yada, 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 that kind of stuff, right? Okay. Next, in the reputation pillar, fix your website. I have looked at thousands of y'all's websites, thousands of these things. Okay. And, yikes, right? Let's make it easy for people to hire us. Okay. What do I mean by that? Well, put elements on your website that they can get to a form, a chat with you, or text you or call you. Make it easy, right? Out of these thousands of websites that I've looked at, I would say 90% of them hid their contact information. It was extremely hard to find their contact information. Okay. Make it easy. Every single one of our websites, it is, the phone number is in the upper right-hand corner. Okay. It's clickable to where your phone will, pick it up right away, and it'll ask you, do you want to call this number? And you say, yes. Just make it easy. Okay. Number 2 is that we need to make sure that we make it trustworthy. Make it, meaning that we put pictures, your pictures, not stock photography photos. Stock photos are not the way to go anymore. And yes, we do put them on some websites when the roofers don't have photos, but we're constantly asking our roofing companies for photos. Okay. So that we can put their images, your images on the website, because that instills trust. Okay. When they see a home that looks like a home in your area, right, on that site, they go there, they see it, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's exactly what I want my house to look like. Okay. Or if and the other part is I like to have photos of your staff, okay, on the website. I like to have your photo on the website. Okay. Most roofing company owners hide behind this company, but the days of faceless companies is over because people trust people. And so they want to know who the owner is. And I go even further and I say, share the story of why you even started this company to begin with, right? People love stories. Why don't we use that on our website? Okay, we use a framework called the Story Brand Framework. In fact, that positions you as a guide in the user's, the homeowner's story, right? You're the Yoda to Luke Skywalker. Okay, that's how we want to be. We want to be the guides. Most websites, when I go to them and I look at them, they're immediately talking about themselves. And that's just like going to a party, getting stuck with the dude in the corner talking all about himself all the time. Okay, it's more interesting to get in the visitor's head and answer the questions that's already going through their head. Okay, can you do the job? Can I trust you? All right. So other trust elements to go on a website are things like testimonials. We pull them directly from Google Business Profile, so that people can, the homeowners can go click on that and see that is a real review. Okay. Other things to add on the website are beyond photos. Right? Beyond your phone number, beyond your contact information, beyond making it easy to hire you. Other elements that you want to add are things like logos to your manufacturers that you work with. Okay. Chamber of Commerce is huge right now, huge. And we're recommending it to absolutely everyone to put a link to their chamber, and make it easy for the search engines and more importantly for ChatGPT to know that you're a member of that Chamber of Commerce and where you're at. Okay. So for me, it's, BCS Chamber, Bryan College Station Chamber of Commerce. We've been a member for 20 plus years. We've got a link on our website that goes to our chamber directory listing. We want to make it easy for search engines, for people even to go see that we're a legitimate business and we've been in business for a really long time. Okay. Better Business Bureau. Same exact idea. Link to it. Any associations that you belong to, like for us, the NRCA, RCAT, HARCA, we've got those links on our website as well. You click on them and they go to our listing. Again, it's all building trust. And that's what the name of this is all about for your website, is building trust immediately. Okay. With people that they're like, okay, they can solve my problem. Let me call them. Website is super, super critical. It is, I tell my clients, it's the center of your digital marketing universe. Okay. It's the only thing, honestly, that you own, right? You own your website, hopefully, and you don't own Facebook. You don't own Google Business Profiles. You don't own any of those things. You're allowed to put your stuff on there, but any of those could go away at any given time. Look at the yellow pages, right? What I shared earlier. All right. So social media, let's talk about that. I run across, still to this day, we run across so many roofing companies that are horrible at posting to their social media, or they don't post at all, right? Or they're constantly talking about themselves. Again, going back to what we were talking about on the website. Hey, hire us, hire us, hire us. We're great at roofing. Hire us. Right? Nobody wants to see that. That's not interesting. What's more interesting is to share stories, right, about the homeowners that you have worked with and how you helped them. A tree fell on their house. We helped this customer, fix their house. We had hail that was the size of softballs, went through their roof. We helped fix their roof. Now they can sleep at night, right? Share those stories. But above all, make sure you post regularly, because there's nothing worse than going to a social media account, seeing that it hasn't been posted to in years. And trust me, we come across those all the time. And the first thing that goes through that homeowner's mind when they do go research you, and this is why this is in the reputation pillar, is this business, are they even in business anymore? Okay. So make sure you're posting on a regular basis. Furthermore, make sure that you, the business owner, has access to that social media account. You can't imagine how many roofing companies that we have worked with that don't even know who has access to their Facebook. Or maybe it was an employee that moved off and it wasn't a good relationship when they left. They're SOL now, right? And they can't get access to now you have to deal with that with Facebook support, which good luck with that. Okay. Same thing with Google, with the Google business profile. My point here is own your assets. Okay. Make sure that you, the business owner, has access to any of these assets, because that's exactly what these things are, right? We work with, right. And there's another question that I get a lot when it comes to social media. Where do I post and what do I post? Let's talk about where first, right? So where do you post? We post to Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, and Google Business Profile. There's also TikTok out there, but we don't really deal with TikTok too much because it's very video based, and hardly any roofing companies will take that $1,000 machine sitting in their pocket doing nothing and pull it out and take a video. Hardly any of them will do that. So we don't really mess too much with TikTok itself, but Facebook, Instagram, X, which was Twitter, okay, LinkedIn, and Google Business Profile. What do you post? Okay. I've hit on that a little bit here, but what we typically post are stories. We post blogs, right? We leverage those blogs that we're creating for search engine optimization. We're going to get to that here in a minute. We post those. We post, nowadays we post posts about that blog a lot more, right? We call it our topical authority social posts. Okay. Because we're building trust with Google, specifically. The other things that we like to post are job site photos, right? Share those stories. We love these photos of homeowners with 100% satisfied sign that they're holding right in front of their house. Love those. Those are gold. Okay. Leverage those, by the way, on your website as well. Okay. If you get those, if the homeowner is willing to do that and they're just holding the sign in front of them and they're smiling, right? And the sign says 100% satisfied. It has your logo on it, all that kind of stuff, right? All right. We also like to post, the job site photos, which I just hit on. We like to post testimonials, leverage those things, not only on your website, but also leverage them into your social media. Okay. Again, you're not talking about yourself. You're not selling on social media for the most part. Okay. You're just instilling trust. That's all it's about. People don't go to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X, or LinkedIn to go find a roofing company, but they will definitely go there to research you. All right. Next, let's talk about the big G, Google. Okay. Google has been dominating for the past 20 plus years. Okay. They've been dominating our world. Okay. As far as how we get in front of people, they're the yellow pages essentially, right, of today. And for the past 20 years has been. We want to make sure that we dominate Google. And when I say dominate Google, that means that you need to be in 4 different places. Okay. One, most important in my opinion, is local service ads. All right. These are paid ads that, and if you don't have these running, I highly suggest that you get them running as soon as possible. Okay. But these are a pay per lead, not a pay per click. And we'll get to that here in a second. This is a pay per lead platform. Okay. When someone calls you, when someone messages you, they also have a way to book now, right? If they book an appointment with you, you're going to pay for that. Okay. You don't pay for every single click that they go to your website or anything like that, like you do with pay-per-click ads. These things, however, convert at a much higher rate than pretty much anything else that we do. They convert that way because they have a need. They're directly contacting you right then and there. So if you pick up the phone, okay, we'll talk about that here in a little bit, but make sure you pick up your phone, set the appointment, and then go into the local service ads platform and mark that you did that. And Google will you're going to pay Google, but they're also going to reward you with more of those happening. The more and more that you do that, the better. Okay. That platform works. Next area that you want to take up here are Google ads, right? These are pay-per-click ads. Anytime someone clicks on your ad, you're going to get charged anywhere probably about $30, $40. I think, what do we see? About $20 to $50, depending on how competitive that your market is and how competitive that the keyword is, but you're going to pay every time someone clicks on that, which is critical, by the way, of why your website needs to be converting higher. The higher that your website converts, the less you're going to pay overall to get that lead in, okay? Your cost per lead. All right, next, Google Maps. We all know what Google Maps is. We all understand how important that it is. These days it's a 3-pack. I'm going to show you all of these here in a minute, but this is one of the areas that we want to make sure that we are ranking in, okay? Organic, this is how Google started. Right, is in the organic area. When I first started doing search engine optimization for Google, when I switched over to them in probably around 2001 timeframe, that's all that they were. They didn't have ads yet. They didn't have the map pack, the Google Maps area. They didn't have local service ads. Okay, this is still very relevant today because there are a lot of long tail style keywords that people do search for that you want to show up for. Okay. And if you're number 1, 2, or 3, you're going to get clicked because longer tail keywords typically don't have the map pack. They typically don't have local service ads. And unless you or your competitors are bidding for that long tail keyword, what shows up is organic. And a lot of times our clients will show up in multiple spots, right? Multiple of those, kind of like what I was talking about earlier, how we dominated Google, okay, way back in the day. Okay. Why Google? Well, this is why. I took this screenshot last night, okay? Worldwide on this website, statcounter.com, you can go look up the statistics for each of the search engines. There's also, by the way, and I'll click on it real quick. I'll show you live here. But one thing to note, before I click off of this, I want you to see why Google. 90%. Right now, they're 90% of all search traffic in the world. All right. I'm a big believer in Pareto's Law. Okay. The 80-20 rule, if you will. I'm a huge believer in that. 80% of the results come from 20% of the efforts. Okay. This is your 20% right here. Google is. Okay. If you focus on that, in my experience, Bing, Yahoo, even DuckDuckGo, that's the ones that we're really worried about here in the US. They come right along in rankings. Okay. All right. So I'm going to click in through here. Let me see what happens here. Okay, good. The link worked. All right. So this is actually it. So this is statcounter.com. Okay. And I want to show you something else here that we are starting to track. Okay. So before I do, let's look at just US traffic. More and more people are talking about ChatGPT, and I love ChatGPT. Okay. Love it. I love AI in general. If you've been following me on YouTube, you see that I talk about it all the time. I'm an AI geek. In fact, I literally this week used AI to build a tool that I'm going to give to you guys here at the end of this. Okay. To assess your marketing. But notice this is 80% of the traffic in the United States of America. 84.5%. It hasn't really gone down. So there are a lot of marketers out there talking about ChatGPT. And I love ChatGPT. It's not going to bring you the traffic that you think it's going to bring you. If someone is telling you, by the way, that they are an AEO specialist, right, or expert, I call BS on that. ChatGPT has only been around a couple of years. Okay, so if anyone is an expert on that, I would say it's going to be someone who's doing search engine optimization, because those are the same techniques that work for, same strategies that work for ChatGPT. Okay, at least what we are finding. All right, so that's that. Okay, this is why we focus on Google, right? And this is why I say focus on Google to get leads in for your business. People are not going to Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, Google Business Profile. Well, I guess they are going to Google Business Profile, but they're not going to the social channels to find you. They're going there to find pictures of their dogs, you know, their friends' dogs and kids and food. Okay, going there to learn. They're not going there to find a roofing company. All right, they're going to Google. Still, to this day, right now, this is live. This is literally live data, okay, from December of 2025. And if you noticed over here, a year ago in December of 2024, they were 87%. So they've gone down a tiny bit. But if you look at this over time, and this is just the last 12 months, if you look at this over time, year after year after year, so I'll go back to, let's go back really far. Let's go back to 2015. Okay. 2015, they started out in January 2015 at 78% of the market. Okay. They're now at, they ended that year, 2015, at 83%. They actually have more now than they did back then. Right? They had 85% almost now. All right. They also on this website have chatbot market share. Okay. And I'm going to talk to that real quick while we're on the SEO, search engine optimization. I'm also going to talk about AEO, AI engine optimization. Okay. Notice it just started tracking here in April of 2025 here on this stats. Okay. But look at this, same exact thing, same thing. ChatGPT, 80% of the market. Okay. They started out on the tracking side of things in April of 2025 at 84%. So they've gone down a tiny bit, but this is your 80%. This is your Pareto's Law 80-20 rule here. Okay. Focus on the big dogs. All right. Okay. So I'm going to move past this. Hopefully we all understand by now why Google. Okay. These are the spots. These are the areas to take up. The local service ads are at the very top. Okay. Google ads are right below that. Okay, this is a screenshot taken, with the actual areas just to illustrate exactly what those are if you don't know what that means, right? We have a maps area that comes right underneath the pay-per-click. If the pay-per-click, these days, pay-per-click isn't really showing up that much anymore, right? So you're going to have local service ads, Google Business Profile, at least what I'm seeing, okay? And then the organic area down below that. There's a new thing too. I saw a video with Adam Bensman talking to an executive at Referral. Okay. He put it out maybe sometime this week and it made me really pay attention. I went, searched, and sure enough, it's sitting right there. There's a new button, brand new button called Online Estimates, right? And if you go search in your area, you're going to see that button. You're also going to see Open Now and Top Rated. When you click that button, it actually changes the search, right? And I think this is going to be a precursor to Gemini, which is the AI engine behind Google, for them recommending you. If you are not offering online estimates, you're going to be left behind. We recommend to all of our clients that we use either Referral or Referral, right, for online estimates. And what we're finding too, and this is interesting, is that out of our clients that are ranking, because what happens here is that it changes the search itself. So it changes the rankings on that search and it shows only the people that are offering online estimates. What we're finding is that our call to action buttons, and we did this unintentionally, but it's had a really good side effect. All of our call to action buttons on our websites are, say, get a free estimate. Google's translating that into get a free online estimate. Just say the word estimate. Have a page that says estimate, right? Google's going to take note of that, and they're going to reward you by ranking you. Okay. When AI takes over this search, and it's coming, okay, Google's trying to figure out how to monetize that, by the way. And you can, by the way, and I'll geek out here in a second on this, but you can get advertising inside of the AI recommendations nowadays. Okay. They're starting to offer that in some of the searches. Okay. Anyways, so make sure that you have online estimates on your website so that you can position yourself for this to happen, as well as in the future for AI searches to happen. Google's not going down. They're not going to let ChatGPT take their business, right? So they have also been building AI into all of their searches. And you probably been noticing more and more, right? And I've been seeing them more and more in almost all the searches that we do and look at our clients in their markets. Okay. Okay. Next, be social. We talked a little bit to this, right? These are the things to share, right? The platforms up there are the ones to post to, right? I've got YouTube up there too. If you have that $20,000 machine sitting in your pocket, highly, highly, highly recommend that you take that and you start posting to YouTube. YouTube is the number 2 search engine in the world. It wasn't shown up there because WorldStat or the stat place doesn't view YouTube as a search engine, but guess what? It is. Okay. If you're posting on a regular basis to YouTube, you're going to get rewarded greatly. Okay. Anyways, here's what we share. Share reviews, job photos, highlight the employees, right? So-and-so got married. So-and-so's kid went off to Texas A&M University. Whoop, right? Whatever. Share the stories, highlight the employees, and then share blogs and videos. Okay, it's that easy. Just do that on a regular basis. Weekly, by the way. Highly recommend weekly on any of these, any and all of these. Daily, if you can. The more that you post about a specific topic, by the way, we have found, it helps you on the search engine optimization side of things. Okay, so if you're talking constantly about metal roofs, guess what? Google is going to reward you when people search for metal roofs. Okay, what you talk about matters. Next, step 3, tell people, all right, sell to people, who've bought from you before in the past, right? This is that resell pillar. We all know it. We all know we need to be doing it. But how do you do it? Well, I'm reading a book right now. I'm a book geek. If you notice back over here, there's a whole bunch of books I've read. I think I looked it up the other day because I was just curious, but I've purchased at least 500 books, business books. One of these, and by the way, purchased and read them, right? It's kind of useless if you don't read them. But anyways, I was recommended this book by my sales coach. I literally go look at our YouTube channel. I think it just came out today. Okay. The interview where my business coach talked about this outgrow system. Okay. He outlined it, how roofers can build this system into it. But this is exactly what it is. Selling back to the people who have purchased from you before in the past. It provides a step-by-step way to do this, right? Rochelle, you don't know this, but we're going to be probably offering this exact system, right? Once we get it installed for ourselves, we're going to do the same thing, turn around for our roofers. Okay. So cross-selling is super important, right? Selling again is super important, right? And we want to make sure that we are doing that on a regular basis. Here's what we do. We do upsells and cross-sells. Okay. We do them for our clients as campaigns. You can do these things in person. I highly recommend any kind of conversation that you have when you pick up the phone and call your customers, right? Because you do that on a regular basis, right? Call your customers, upsell and cross-sell them. Did you know that we also offer gutters? Oh, you didn't? Okay, well, I can come by there and give you a gutter quote. What time works for you? Tomorrow? Okay, great. I'll put that on my schedule, right? That's an easy conversation to have with somebody who's purchased from you before in the past. Okay. Retargeting ads. We love, love, love retargeting ads on the marketing side of things, because anytime someone interacts with you whatsoever, whether they went to your website, they clicked like, right? They any kind of interaction with you whatsoever, we want to follow them around with ads. Okay. This has probably happened to you before in the past. You went to Amazon, looked at something, didn't buy it, right? And that ad follows you on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, right? ESPN, it shows up, CNN, wherever sites that you go to throughout the internet, everything is plugged into one advertising model or another. These are called retargeting ads. They work to cement things in your homeowners' minds that you are the choice, not a choice. You're omnipresent in their market. They see you over and over and over and over again, right? Retargeting ads are super, super important. Next thing, lead nurturing. Make sure that you nurture your leads as they come in. What is this? If you're sitting here, you have probably either downloaded my book, downloaded our checklist, right? Something like that, because you got in here because we nurtured you. We sent you emails on a regular basis. We sent you text messages on a regular basis. Okay. That's all that this is. And we have a system in order to do that. Well, guess what? We have the same exact type of system for our roofers. Okay. Lead nurturing is important. It's just simply taking people from one stage that they're in the sales pipeline into the next logical step. Okay. It also keeps you top of mind. Being top of mind when a storm rolls through your market is super important, right? We had a roofer down in south of Austin, and last year before last, there were grapefruit size, softball size hail that happened in their market. They blew up real quickly because they were top of mind with all of their customers. Okay. They were also positioned on Google. They all, and so super important that all of this happens. Monthly newsletter to me is almost the ultimate leverage tool for roofers. And I say almost, but it truly is, because you're not only sharing your expertise through your blogs. That's what we do. We should, we talk about things like metal roofs, or we talk about, what you need to be looking for when that storm rolls through. Okay. Before you hire a roofer, all of these things, we're sharing the knowledge on your website, but sharing it for Google, but it's also for people, if that makes sense. And when I say for people, because we're going to share that with your database of people who have done business before with you, right? We're again leveraging that to stay top of mind over and over and over. And the more consistent you are with it, the more value that you provide to those homeowners, the more it cements them in your mind that you're their guy, and that's exactly the place where we want to be. Next, let's talk about referrals, right? We love referrals. We talked about that earlier here. Okay. Referrals are super, super important to any sales system, to any marketing system, because they close at such a high percentage, but yet very few roofing companies actually ask for referrals. They don't ask in the sales process. They don't ask after the sales happen. Okay. So how do you do that? Here's how we do it. Here's how we help our clients, except for the in-person part. You've got to ask in person. You got to have the strength, and you have to remember to do it, right? So you have to have this system in place to ask for referrals. The number one thing, though, is to make sure that you actually have a program. Get it in cement now, right? That this is our referral program. We usually, when I talked with roofers, I typically recommend a $250 gift card that's given out for every referral that turns into a new roof. It is such a drop in the bucket, right? But those referrals are gold. Okay. Put it on your website. Okay. once you have cemented that down, put it on your website, talk about it in person, send it out via referral campaigns, right? Quarterly. Want to make sure that we're sending that out. Okay. Hey, who else do you know that might need our services? Ask for it quarterly in person. That's that in person part. And then last, monthly newsletter. Okay. You want to put it in your monthly newsletter. So I talked about putting blogs in there. I also suggest putting job photos in there, right? Blogs, those, anything that's happening in your company. Okay. We just had a client give away a roof to a veteran. Okay. They did a promotion for that to kind of really build their database, and more importantly, to try to get some PR for that. Okay. Through the local media sources. Guess what? It's in their newsletter. Okay. Ask for a referral, ask for a review. Okay. That's why I call monthly newsletters your ultimate leverage tool. Okay. Okay. So what we've gone over here is the 4R roofing marketing machine. There's a lot more to this. Obviously, we don't have enough time for me to geek out here all day long. I'd love to, though. I love talking marketing, right? But I want to distill this into 4 simple steps for you to take away today. All right. 1, fix your reputation. That's the number one thing. You've got to fix your reputation. Get more reviews now, today. It's important for search engine optimization, but it's also the most important part is ensuring that your base foundation is solid. Okay. And it's not shaky, and it's not going to crumble, right? And that you have good reviews and you have a lot of them, and that you're getting them on a regular basis. Okay. So all of those things kind of play into the homeowner's minds, but also into Google's minds. Okay. Number 2 step here, reach more people today than yesterday, right? Get your SEO system set up. Get your Google business profile system set up. Get local service ads right now. If you don't have local service ads running, get those things, figure out, ask ChatGPT how to set those things up, right? Go to the local service ads platform and get those things set up today, right? Those things, you can build $1 million businesses based off of local service ads alone. Okay. Resell to past customers. That's one of the easiest ways to grow your business right now. Go back to the past customers, right? Use this outgrow system to do it in person, to call, but build a system with text messages and emails doing the same exact thing. Okay. Get referrals. We love referrals, don't we? Right. But again, you've got to ask for a referral to actually get it. Sometimes they happen. We love that, but you can't build a business. You can't grow a business based off of it sometimes happening. You have to have something that is happening on a regular, steady basis, right? In order to grow a business. That's it. Okay. 4 simple steps. I do have a workbook. Okay. I'm going to leave this QR code up there. Rochelle's going to share it, but go to roofermarketingheroes.com/workbook. If you're listening to this later down the road, or you're watching us on YouTube, right? This workbook, I'm going to leave the QR code up for just a second. Pull out that $1,000 machine, put it to good use. That's sitting in your pocket. Okay. I also have it up over here. All right. So in this workbook, we have a couple of different things. Step one, you need to know where your marketing is. Okay. You can download this digital marketing checklist. If you came into our world, you probably already have this in your hands. If not, click here, right, to get the ultimate digital marketing checklist for roofers. Okay. Next, guess what? I took that checklist. I used AI and I built a tool to actually do this for you. All right. So all you have to do is put in your information in here, right? Go through this, go through the questions, and it's going to give you something that looks like this right here. Okay, so let's look at this one here. Look, I even did ours. All right, so this is an assessment that was done for this company here. All right, as you can see, they made a 2.2 out of 10. okay, based off of their answers and based off of what the AI went out and did. It'll analyze your website, tell you what your strengths, your weaknesses are on the website. Okay, as you can see, they have more weaknesses than strengths here. Website improvement recommendations. All right, this will give you an itemized list of exactly what to do and what high priority items are. It'll give you your scores on each of the pillars: reach, referral, resell, all of those, reputation. Okay. Here's what I really like about it is that it then gives you a 30, 60, and 90-day game plan of exactly what you need to do in order to fix your marketing. Okay. I geek out about this stuff, love this, because we built this checklist initially because we used it in-house. These are all the things that we know of. And as things start working better, we actually add those, a part of our checklist. Well, we built that checklist right here inside of the software. Pretty cool. Go out there, get it. By the way, you can download it. Also, just click on this download PDF report. You can run a new one if you fix some things and have it rerun it and to give you a better score if that's what you're looking for. Okay. Anyways, this will give you a way to assess your marketing, right? And that's the very first step in making sure that you fix your marketing. All right, so that's the first step. Step number 2, write down your goals. We did this last month. If you're not quite sure, what any of these things do, go back to our workshop from last month. Go to YouTube and look up the other 2026 Ultimate Marketing Machine workshop. Okay. In it, we have a couple of tools for you right here. So this is going to be the Marketing Traction Organizer. This is a way for you to put down your goals. Okay. Because if you don't write them down, you're never going to achieve them. Okay. You want to make sure that they're smart, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Okay. I gave an example in here, right, of exactly what this kind of looks like. Just make a copy, put it into your Google Drive. Okay. But this is exactly how you would fill this thing out. Share this, by the way, with your team. Okay. That's the other important part to all of this, is make sure you share your goals with your team. Because if you don't, they're not going to know what you want to do. Okay. You don't have to share everything. You don't have to share financials or anything like that if that doesn't make you comfortable. But let them know where you want to be by the end of the year, by the end of the quarter, by the end of 3 years, what your big, hairy, audacious goal is. Okay. Like our big, hairy, audacious goal, our BHAG, is to double the size of 100 roofing companies by 2028. Step 3, set your budget. Okay. Most roofers don't understand or know what they should be investing in their marketing budget. Okay. This will lay it all out for you. Again, go to our last workshop from last month, and this outlines exactly how to fill this in. Okay. There's a couple of different tools in here in order to do that. This probably will be built into my tool here pretty soon, but I had to start somewhere. So that's where it was. Okay. So what we went over today was that for our roofing marketing system, all right, the 4 pillars: reputation, reach, resell, and referral. Gave you the steps in order to build the ultimate marketing machine for your company in 2026. If you don't have my book in your hands, since you stayed here till the end, or you're watching this later and you came to the end, I am going to give you a free digital copy of my book. Just go to go.roofermarketingheroes.com in order to get it. Again, that's go.roofermarketingheroes.com. Use the QR code here to do it with that $1,000 machine, your phone that's sitting in your pocket. Last, if you love knowing how all this stuff works, but would rather someone else do that, that is what we're here for. Let us help you. If you use this QR code or go to roofermarketingheroes.com/schedule, right, you can schedule a time with Rochelle here to look at your marketing. Okay. Give you a plan of exactly what you need to do, right? If you want us to help, we'd love to help you. But either way, you're going to get a plan out of it. Okay. You had a great workshop here. Hopefully you got some value out of this. Hopefully you're going to take away and take the action steps needed in order to fix your marketing. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for showing up. And by the way, great job on working on your business and not in it today. Great job. All right. Appreciate it. Y'all take care.